Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the WTRL TTT. We are out on Casse in France for the Team Time Trial today, number 90. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle right next to me. And Dave, we've got a fast and furious course here with only 24K, but two events today, as we do have a women's specific and a men's specific race out here.
Yeah, 24K. What's fantastic about this course is that it brings it all in the entire package here. Is you're going to have to be really efficient and organized over that first, let's say, 17K. There is the Aqueduct climb, which we've gotten to know well. We've raced here before, but never with this WTRL. So as we're here for edition 90, it's going to be that second climb, though, Petit KOM, that we're going to really find that over the top of that. What's bizarre is you're not going to win it on the climb. I think you're really going to win it on what you do coming up and over the top there, how many riders that are able to actively pull to the finish line. It's going to be a fantastic race out here today. Again, edition 90. And big thank you to Martin and Steven. There have been a tremendous amount of work has been done over the last couple of weeks. It's so good to be back with you, Nathan, and they're out on course.
Yeah, jumping right on into it here quickly. We'll get into some of the information in just a moment on more about the course and what's happening out here today. But I just wanted to quickly highlight for those of you that might be unfamiliar with what's happening and why. There's a lot of new people out on Zwift, Dave. We currently had 43,000 plus as peak Zwift concurrent people live on the platform all at one time. 43,000 people on the Zwift class. My prediction is that I think I said that we were going to hit 53 something or other. So we need 10K more for my predictions for me to win that bet. But the reality is that we might have a lot of people jumping in and going, wait, there's time trialing out on Zwift and team time trialing? What is that all about? Dave, want to give the viewers a little bit of an insight to that?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. And I agree with you. 43,000. And what was really, I think that was on Monday, if you were in North America around 10 a.m., but it has been consistently those kind of numbers. So, yeah, Nathan, great point. A lot of new folks out there. This is an event, a discipline that was an Olympic standard all the way up to 1992. Last time they did it was in Barcelona. It remained a world championship event for a while. The individual time trial, though, really became the ruler of the roost as far as racing against the clock goes with the UCI style of racing. This became the team time trial for a few years was a trade team event. We race on the Richmond course out here a lot. And that Richmond event was one of the worlds where they had all, instead of nations, which you usually see, like we just saw at Zwift Worlds, it was the trade teams. And I think going back to nations was a great idea. Here, these teams are based on friendships, or it's really, actually, as we've noted over time, the ability to race at the high level here is only for a limited few. And so finding a team and a team that works with you and your style that's really a complicated process. Not many riders are so lucky just to fall into, for example, the cryogen program, who we're looking at right now. Well, what we do here, this is also part of the ZRL, but what we do here is the pure form 8 riders maximum, minimum number of 4. And the reason that minimum number is so important is because that's where the time is taken off of the 4th rider. So if you finish with 3, you're still going to be sitting there waiting to get your time until that 4th rider comes across the line and stops the clock. Now, that sounds really straight ahead, and I suppose it is, but you'll see, and this course is a perfect example of that, by the time they even hit the Aqueduct, which is in no way a severe climb, but it's enough that a team that doesn't have experience will really struggle. What happens is the strong riders go to the front. They start creating gaps. They start blowing up the team. There's frustration levels. There's all kinds of things that go on psychologically in the riders' heads, remembering that no one wants to be the weakest link. No one wants to be that 4th rider that lets the wheel go. But if you're a strong rider, Nathan, and this is a challenge that we've seen a lot of our best Zwifters have, and it's probably the best, and so many folks too. This community is absolutely the best when you talk about WTRL. Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you after that long-winded explanation. You start with 8, hopefully. Your time is taken off the 4th, but I think you're with me. This community is incredibly strong. We talk about community on Zwift a lot. Well, WTRL, it's about 4,000, 5,000 people, and I feel like each and every one of them is a good friend.
Yeah, and the real cool thing about this is it was a community developed racing style in the world of Zwift. And so WTRL, in order to get involved in the TTT, head on over to WTRL.racing. That is also where you can sign up for the Zwift Racing League to be involved in the Zwift Racing League, which we're going to launch into season 2 next week. But for these as well, you put a team together with you and your friends, and then from there, you are able to sign up over on WTRL.racing, and then you get a start time in the pens, and you wait for your time to take off. So it is, a lot of people might be wondering if they're jumping into here, how does this organize? Do you have a banner drop in Zwift? No, you have a start time that your team captain gives you in Discord or in your team chat, wherever that might be. And then there's a countdown on it, and then you take off. And the amazing thing is that the community, it really speaks a testament to the community and the way that it's organized around WTRL and their leadership, that it's completely run in the background there, where you have 5,000-6,000 people getting organized enough to shoot off at the right times. I mean, and once in a while you get a hiccup and people here and there don't, but I mean, that's a part of racing too. And being a part of a team is showing up, playing your roles at the right time and being organized well. As we have seen mistakes in the past here and there, obviously at the very high level in the Premier League, we've seen a mistake a couple of times this past season where teams took off at the wrong time. That's a part of racing as well, making sure everybody's on the right page when it comes to team tactics, which is really cool to see in the world of Zwift. A lot of people think, oh, it's all solo, single rider, pressing on. That's all it really is, and it's almost like an exercise competition, but this has really brought out something different when it comes to the sport of Zwift racing.
Absolutely. In talking with Martin, Nathan, before the show, this is how smart Martin from WTRL is. He has now figured out a way to replace himself with a robot, which is incredible. So that frees him up now to make more advancements.
You need to keep my friend around, though. Now I'm kind of, no. Can we not change Martin into a robot? I'm good with not doing.
Let's just say he's built a robot sidekick. Is a better way to put it. Maybe.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, let's go real quickly. Every week we do have a competition in the WTRL TTT number 90 that we are in right now. And it is our poster competition. If you want your team to get involved in the poster competition, head on over to the WTRL Facebook group for the TTT. They got a couple of different Facebook groups, one for Zwift Racing League, and then one for the TTT as well. Well, head on over to there for the TTT, and you can get involved. Submit your submission to just the discussion. We go through them every week, and we select who our winners are for the competition. This week, we had the selection for the Dirty Chronicle as one. They have done a really good job, actually. They're almost like the Socks for Watts of the poster competitions, I feel like. But the Dirty Chronicle, this was Dave's selection on the week. Tell me about this. What's happening here, Dave?
Well, first off, the retro styling really speaks to me. This was the romantic era of bike racing, and team time trialing really speaks to that, the harkening back to what makes this sport so important to all of us. So it kind of reminds me of Fausto Coppi, right, with the tube, the tubulars wrapped around. They had no mechanical support out there. So this team also extremely cool. All of the dads indoors riding trainers are great. And also, I can't pander to the Fleetwood Mac guys. I mean, that's my squad, right, Nathan? I mean, we've talked a lot about that, but certainly all credit to the graphic designers out there. It seems like there are literally in our community not dozens, I'm going to go into the hundreds of folks that have some serious skills. So this poster competition always requires, it's a good conversation that we have every week, a spirited debate about who's created the best look. And Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you because this one's, I know you're a coffee fiend.
Well, that's the only reason I picked this one is I woke up going, all right, I need this broadcast today. Got my espresso on, and it looks like R3R Dev Fleetwood Mac have gotten their espresso on as well as they move up. And that's really what I wanted to celebrate. I liked the coffee. I liked the cleanness of this coming into the new year, the new Mac. And now we've got R3R Dev Fleetwood Mac in the espresso with the upgrade. And I wanted to celebrate alongside them. So I picked this one. I also want to give a shout out to the great unicorn horse that was put together by the Socks for Watts team as well, though. A shout, not a winner, but a shout out to them because that was pretty cool and cute to see as well. Always love to see
Yeah.
the pets and you know the amazing, you know, a little bit of in real life reality in there, you know. So really love to see that.
Well, Nathan, as we took a couple week break on Zwift Community Live, I definitely enjoyed watching you connecting with your family over the holidays. And but one of the things that I missed was your passion, to tell you the truth. Even going 1 week without a WTRL, I just felt I lacked that energy. And one of the things about you that I really, really love as we look back on that last year is how much you care about these riders. And you were saying about, is this R3R that we are back with here? I believe so. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it looks like
So,
this is them.
yep. So
With their
this
upgrade.
team. Yeah, exactly, Nathan. You were talking about how proud you were of them upgrading, and that's something that they earned it. They did it perfectly, actually. This is look at this as a model, right? We've talked about, hey, teams like Cryogen. If you're looking at how you become inclusive, that's a great place to look. If you want to look at a competitive, dynamic team that really seems to do a great job finding talent, that's Socks for Watts. Well, this team does such a great job with showing us how get to the top of your division, win a little bit, wet your beak on top of the podium, and then move on to a higher level of competition. And you're going to see that these guys collectively are all bettering themselves through this process. And that's what this is all about with the team time trialing here today. 23.9K Casse Pot, which really means the leg breaker. And you can see why if you go and look at the profile. They say the sting is in the tail. Well, it's not quite that, because there's a little bit of a climb to the Aqueduct. That'll put the teams under pressure. But then the Petit KOM will put them under a lot of pressure, like a vice-like pressure. And then they've got to bring it on home. It's 20K into the race when they go over the top of that climb. But, Nathan, they're going to be hightailing it to the finish line at, let's call it 24K. So that's 4K of flat out, they're going to be moving at 60K faster than 60 kilometers per hour through that last, let's call it 5 minutes of racing there.
Yeah, I was bringing up this graphic here just for everybody, just to give an idea as they go over that 23K of what the times were that were set throughout the day here so far. As you can see, the BRT Dark Kittens in the Viennas. We have no times yet. Now, we do have some new things happening here with the women and the men's having separate categories. We are in the men's event right now, or mixed event. BRT Dark Kittens, though, they did set for the Vienna Frappes a 40:41 as the fastest time that people are going to be chasing down in the Vienna Frappes. And so there are 11 zones throughout the day, everybody. 11 zones throughout the day. Going out in zone 2, it looks like Vienna Latte with the 44:12 that they're going to be chasing down here. In the Viennas, 43:47 is the fast time. They're coming from AHDR Bada Boom. And then for the Doppios, it doesn't look like we have anybody just yet in the Doppios. Espressos, we are D-Lax with a 29:35, absolutely flying. That's going to be chased down here with, and that's the 3R boys are going to be chasing that down that we're looking at right now. We'll see what kind of time they're going to pull off as we get through the splits here. Eat Dirt with the 33:04 so far on the day, coming out of zone 2. It looks like very close there between them and Z Sun. And then it's going to be Cryogen Emos there in the lattes so far with the 35:20 leading the leaderboard. We'll see if they can hold on and get maybe a top 5 to top 10. Usually Premier League does end up, or the Platinum League, does end up taking down a lot of these times, but sometimes they hold on throughout the day. It's going to be GISCC there with the 38:14 leading it out in the Mochas. So that's the current situation on the day. As we are waiting for a couple of the splits to come in, it does sound like we've got a little bit of hold up here still with Zwift Power. We're going to try and make sure that we can get all of the data coming on in as we go here. The women are going to be taking off in, it looks like, about we've got another 15 minutes or so before the ladies get out on course. So we're going to be sticking in with the boys for now. We'll keep moving our ways back. And we can get some ideas, though, as to where things are from the time splits rather than just from the data on the boards as we wait for Zwift Power to update. We do see that Cryogen has gotten a little bit of a gap from what we can see with the time splits currently. 124 back. A lot of times when I'm doing my TTT, I do race in the evening, sometimes in zone 11. as a guest on on the Rivet Haze, and I'm always looking at the team that is chasing me or the team that's ahead of me, Dave, to give me an idea of how well we're going. As you can see, is a 1 minute gap between each of the teams and where they start. So if you are over a minute ahead, you know you've probably taken some time out of that team that's chasing you, or under a minute, that means, the gap maybe not quite as much, and they're chasing you down, and vice versa for the team that's ahead of you. You're going to be chasing them down, and if they are over a minute, you've lost time to them.
It's amazing how the athlete's brain is so hungry for data, looking for any reference point that you can on how am I doing right now. Those checks are critical. And Nathan, you're right. That's probably the best way that you can do it when you're out there, to tell you the truth, is because these teams are seeded. Now, here in the Platinum League that we're racing right now, these are the teams based on last week. So this is the 90th week of WTRL. In week 89, these teams qualified. If you want to be racing with your team, you could be doing it by week 91. Just next week, you could get organized and be out here. But this is the very highest level for all of these different categories. And you can see that, this community, again, it's thousands of riders that participate throughout all of the different time zones around the day. So it's quite a process, no doubt about it. As we take a look again, this is a team that's now through the middle part of the course. What's going to be interesting, though, is it was almost dishpan flat through the first, let's call it 17K. There's going to be that one right at about, they're just coming up on it now, the Aqueduct KOM. It's not long. It's about a 5% average, but it's enough that a team that doesn't have, and Nathan, this would be a great example of that, to tell you the truth. This is nothing to a team with experience, a team that hasn't done much team time trialing. The Aqueduct will throw a monkey wrench in the works.
Yeah, the climbs are the places where you have to watch out not to get anybody anybody who's suffering. They have to almost treat it like a race-ending moment if you do not hang on. And then there is enough draft, where you can just hang on through. So, get over the top with the team. Make sure you don't hold them up too much. While at the same time, anybody on the front, if you really start to gap things out and the rest of the team suffers too much for it, you can put them way too much in the hurt locker. And the reality is it's all about having the perfectly evening out, the temperance that you have, the balance of, here's the reality. You might be feeling good right now. I've done this many times in a TTT, pushing into my zone 6, zone 7 type situation, like, yeah, all right. And then you pay for it so much on the later ends of the race, especially if you put everybody else in the hurt locker. They have to take a break on a pole. That means you've just given yourself an extra time slot, actually. You've just lessened your rest. So you have to become this well-oiled machine that really understands when to go, how to go, and how much to push out there onto the course, because there is that reality of you can put everybody on the back foot rather than on the front foot if you push too hard. But, you got to find that perfect balance here. It's a razor's edge, and that's the cool thing about the TTT, is finding that together as a team.
So well said, Nathan. Couldn't agree more. And this is a team right now, you can see this little bit of a split happening. That's not bad at all. All things considered, I wouldn't even call that a split. We got one rider just dangling off the back. They'll tuck back into the slipstream here and continue to roll on. Again, we're with R3R here just through that first, I'd call it first test out there, the Aqueduct KOM. You'll see all of the teams hitting that. Didn't do much damage to R3R, though. Looking good for the Fleetwood Mac boys there. So, Nathan, what you were talking about is the name of the game out here. And it's so easy to say, hey, stronger riders, you don't go faster when you hit the front. You want to keep the average speed high all the time. And your job is to spend more time on the front doing the work, not blowing up the team by accelerating every time that you hit the front, as I see a rider doing just that. It's always a challenge in this discipline. That's exactly what I'm talking about right now, though. You're forcing a bunch of gaps to be closed, and that's never ideal.
Yeah, and we are looking at LGPCIM. They're the only team that don't have a time through just as of yet, but we are starting to get some times to come through, as you can see. For the rest of the riders, it was a tie at the top of the leaderboard just a moment ago. We'll go ahead and go back to that time split real quickly here. As you do see, Cryogen turns battling it out at that 8 kilometer mark, it looks like, up against On the River Blur at 10:40. It was 8 seconds back for Adam Racing Team Nuclear. Innovation Rebels there, 1 second between Adam Racing and Innovation, very close in the Espressos. Team CLS Racing A there to 10:53. This is actually, everything is within about 40 seconds. Still anybody's race, actually, even with Berlin Hochranks there back at 11:16 if they were tempering. But, with it being a shorter course, really, I think the gaps are not, you can't really play with it too much here because of how short this course is out here today.
Absolutely, Nathan. And I would say, again, it's a risk reward. I think you take the risk here, go out really, really hard. And you can see that we have, let's call it, I'm going to say 6 teams there within 10 seconds. And actually, with just about everybody is within 15 seconds. So that's, you're seeing that they're all flat out right now. These athletes are all very similarly matched. It's going to come down to that second check is going to tell us a lot more here at 14K, Nathan, as you're going to see the gap starting to really open up, as there's the first fast time coming in at 18:58 there from the Cryogen turns. They were one of the teams in at 10:40, so they're on a very, very good day. Let's see what Cryogen can put together here. I'll be surprised if we see a split faster than 1850 coming out of this second check that we're looking at now for our Espresso category. This is another team, though, Nathan, looking very well organized right now. Not quite perfect, but certainly closer to that than a team with any kind of a trouble. That little gap at the back there, that's getting closed down right now. And you can see, and that's one of the things about racing on Zwift, that you just have to stay so attentive. A laser-like focus is required, or you'll see your team go up like a mushroom cloud. And let's see what we've got here now, Nathan. This is a pitch here that's going to be challenging. A little bit of a kicker, and they're up and over, no problem.
Yeah, and I mean, this is still really early game too to here for this team. 9K in, but up front, how fast you go out can gain or lose seconds. We are starting to get some times in here for the Doppios. Let's go ahead and jump on over to some of the Doppio riders and see how they are doing. I believe we do have. Let's see if we can find the Plastic Cockneys or a couple of others out here, but not a lot of teams. Well, I mean, this is the elite of the elite, though, on these times that we're seeing here. It's tough to get to the Doppios. This is 5.0 plus, a lot of these boys. A-plus riders.
It shows, though. Look at this, like an 18:26, the fastest time. That isn't that much faster than what we were just looking at with our friends in the Espresso category. It shows you that the level is really coming up out there. No doubt. Now, the difference is going to be made in this final 10K of racing. Make it, almost exactly final 10K of racing after they go through that second checkpoint here. So no surprise to see Restart in with a very quick 18:26, 18:29 for the Red Giants. That's Z-Sun R. Very close here. 2 seconds back to the Plastic Cockneys, and then only 2 more seconds back to Vision. Nathan, we got ourselves a Donnybrook going on out there. I think we're going to fall in love with this course. This is the first time that we've ever raced with WTRL out on Casse Pat. It's a fresh course. It hasn't really been around for more than a half year, I would say. This was part of the virtual Tour de France effort in 2020. So you're going to see these, just about every category should be seeing a record set out of this, the Platinum League, the very highest level.
Yeah, and we're just going to show this real quickly, give you an idea. Because every week we do show this graphic to give an idea of what the records have been. We're showing it now because they're being set as we speak. So these are the records as we go through. The fastest times as they come through. We have nothing from Doppio or Vienna Espresso as of yet. But as they do get across, we'll have new records on this course. So just so everybody knows, that's the reason why we didn't have the records up front. Back in with Restart, as they were setting, it looks like an 18:19. They're battling it. Oh, excuse me, not 18:19. Cryo RDT Vultures are actually kind of walking away a little bit with this one, with that solid, it's 7 seconds. Restart can bring this back. Cryo RDT Vultures, they're 9.3 in. The 9.3 is that to go, actually, excuse me. Restart, 5.8 to go. Z-Sun Red Giants, they're only 3 seconds behind. This is very tight at the top end, actually, in this Doppio class right now.
Yeah, when you talk about the athletes at this level, there's only 1 or 2% difference in ability level. But you start factoring that through the 8 riders that a team could start with, and basically it all comes out in the wash. It is what team stays organized, who wants it more. This team down to 4 riders with 5K to go. So not an ideal situation, really, Nathan, where you're going to find the final few seconds here. And that's Jager there, one of the riders that represent the United States at the Esports World Championships here with Restart, the master national champion out of Wisconsin. So 4 riders, one of them, well, actually all of them are big engines, no doubt. But you're going to need every engine you can find because it's going to be an absolute drag race after you go over the top of that climb down to the finish line. It's about 4K there. But yeah, you're going to need to sustain an insanely fast average speed. If you do have the fastest time, it's not an actual check there at it is an actual check at 20K, excuse me. So that's going to be interesting to see, Nathan, who wins the downhill race from that check to the finish line.
Yeah, and that really, with the way that this course works, there is some tactics to the downhills too.
For sure.
A lot of people
Having
might
numbers,
not understand the kind of importance there is on the downhill sections. And if you don't have some bursty sprints to throw into your speed on the downhill, you can really gain 5. I mean, actually, I would even say that if you don't do that, you could lose 30 seconds to a team that knows how to race the downhills in this game, actually, because of how incredibly important it is to come through with a ton of speed, push 400 watts on the front, and then quickly keep resetting that between each and every one of your riders. You can really gain some momentum if you use that snowball effect here. Down to 4 riders, though, I'm wondering. No, they did not start with 4. They actually had one drop off here with English now just rolling in for the rest of his workout, 178 beats per minute. So it looks like coming in through into the finish line, they thought it was worthwhile to climb as hard as they possibly can as Lennox pulls through at 350 watts right now. Is that? I wonder if he's having a heart rate malfunction because 146 is pretty low for how high these watts are right now.
You know, with this group, and this is going to be really fun to watch out here. What a finale we're going to be treated to because that's doable. This, little split.
They have to have him. He cannot be let go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where your time is taken. So it doesn't do you any good to hold him off or force him to fight in. You just want to work together here, and they're going to do that. Very good job there. So Restart showing some experience here. It is on like Donkey Kong here on Casepat, the leg breaker, living up to it now because this is, here's the race scenario for our very highest level, the Doppio men, with a 7-second advantage for the Vultures, a very experienced team here. They are up against it. It is an old school throwdown right now as Restart here knows that they've got to make up. We're going to be getting that split here for you. So it'll be interesting to see when we update that, Nathan, what it looks like here. But yeah, some old school fury in France right now. Let's see here. So that cryo RDT Vultures at 18-19, that's no longer fresh. We're going to be getting some new data coming through as the teams are opening up the throttle here. But again, these little splits aren't going to help your cause right now. You're going to have to be nearly perfect if you're Restart and you want to win this first race of the year, number 90 in the WTRL.
Doing a really good job with the roll throughs here. As you can see, they're getting up into that 60, 70, almost kilometers per hour. Now Lennox taking a pull through. Jager now coming on through. A little bit of a gap. That'll get shut down pretty quickly here. Luke Gilbert to the back after he took his pull. They're doing a great job on this rotation on the downhill. Now there is a reality, though, that the Plastic Hockneys are on the chase, and this is going to be Reese Howells as well as Ward. This is a strong team. They've got plenty of riders, and they're going to have a lot more firepower coming into the final here. It is I believe they were right up against it here with this team, though, as we take a look at that last split. 18:31 versus an 18:26 at that last split. Only 5 seconds. They can make this happen easily.
Yeah, this is virtually tied right now if you look at these numbers that we're getting. So, all right, this is going to be a battle royale, no doubt. Now, 5 versus 4 is absolutely going to make a difference as you want to continue to rotate on the front. This is that the snowball effect that we talk about, just trying to bring the watts up and over the top and keep repeating that. They've got it at 66 kilometers per hour right now. But they're not making up any ground at this point. This one is remaining deadlocked here.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be well. I really think with the extra numbers though here, I believe that
Here we
plastic
go.
countries can make it happen as long as they stay organized and they've got a good team captain that's giving good orders. That's really going to matter. But if they do, they can pull this off. I think up against Restart. But Restart there with Jager at the front, as you do see in the numbers on the right hand side, he's pulling a solid 7 watts per kilogram as they make their way to the finish line here. This is going to be for the finish here at this moment. It's going to come right down to the line.
It's going to be an incredibly quick time here. The question becomes as well, what can the Vultures do out there? It's going to be really hard to steal back 10 seconds from them. Wow, it's going to be very interesting when we look at all the data. When this one is done and dusted, there are going to be some legs that are absolutely filled with lactic acid out here as they are down to it. Now, this is where it really hurts. You might think, well, they're going downhill. Well, look at the watts that they're making right now. It is a full-on throwdown here. Just a few hundred meters to go. There's the truss.
Yeah, we are seeing 31 minutes at the top here. Interesting enough. I wonder, we'll have to wait and see what the actual time is across the line here. We may have seen an amazing time earlier this morning from some of the teams that were jumping into the first zones here. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the fastest on the day. With less numbers out there, I have a feeling perhaps we start struggling up against some of the teams that had more riders on the day.
Well, it looks like Restart did a pretty darn good job, all things considered. The Vultures are the team that I'm going to be looking for. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Most of the teams are, though, with what that final 10K.
27:33 coming through at that 20K mark. Absolutely flying. We'll have to wait and see what it is across the line here, but they had opened up a monster.
They killed it on the climb. Oh, yeah. On the Petit KOM, they were pinning it. I mean,
so it didn't even matter, Dave, right? There. It didn't even matter as far as just the pure power went besides that climb. That climb, I think you're right, is really what made it happen.
Yeah, and now the problem was, were they able to hold on? It looked like they were, I wouldn't say struggling, but the speed that the Vultures should have over that sector, and we're still waiting here, but I still think the Cryo RDT Vultures are the team to beat out here today. But the proof will be in the pudding at the finish line, that's for sure. But yeah, no doubt about it, Nathan. Restart had an incredible back half of the course out here. Was it enough becomes the question.
Looks like this course has ended up being a little bit more of a struggle on the back end than we had perhaps anticipated. That climb just demolishing things, as we only have 4 riders here as well with Z-Sun. I wonder if Vision has seen something similar here as we look back with Pettinger here starting to drop one off. Is that going to be Mead, who was riding with, Mead, I believe, was maybe with another team here. Saunders just looking to get back on turns, but they, again, only have 4 riders left. So this climb has demolished the teams, it seems.
Yeah, having 5 riders is going to be a luxury at the finish, it looks like. And it's the climb, right? What happens is the faster riders are pushing so hard on that climb that if you're an anchor, they just have to let you go. They can't let the 4th rider go. So that's your limit point. That's the breaker that you have. You can't go any harder than that, or you're no longer doing yourself any good. So this is a fantastic look at the challenge that is the team time trial, and what the stronger riders are asked to do. Again, it's all about workload distribution, and so this is one of my favorite scenes of every WTRL. And again, thanks again to Martin and Steven. This is the 90th consecutive week of racing during the WTRL, and all the teams that have finished now are going to be anxiously waiting to hear how the other squads have done out there as we get ready to look at our finish table in a bit. But we've still got the women to be out on course. We've got a lot of racing ahead of us here.
Yeah, we're just going to jump on over to the women. We'll go over back into the men's race in just a moment to see some of the other categories as they finish up. But we definitely want to get the start here for the women's. We got the Socks for Watts sock and roll out on course. This is a newer team. We got a couple of messages coming on through. We love to give a shout out to the riders who they really attentive. A lot of these directors and these of these teams that jump on in and give us some information in the background. A big shout out to Alice Lethbridge letting us know what's happening here, because it looks like Socks for Watts have a bunch of teams that are newer to what's going on here. Well, not newer, but multiple brands within the brand, multiple teams, sub teams
Yeah.
within the team, essentially. So the sock and roll team here is a new Vienna Frappe team that we're going to be watching out for here today, it looks like.
Yeah, it is a movement of the people, no
Oh, did they
doubt about it. When
qualify?
you talk,
Excuse me. Sorry, Dave. They qualified for Espresso. I was wondering, I was seeing the C there, and I was like, oh, what's happening here? So they actually qualified to get an upgrade right off the bat, showing just how strong this SockSWAT brand is out here in these team members.
yeah, I agree. And their sock game we joke about, but their community game is actually not something to joke about. It is just flat out impressive. How Alice Lethbridge, you're my hero. What a great job she does. Not only a super strong racer, but helping sort out so many riders who are looking to find their way. And it's a challenge. There's no doubt about it. Again, don't let that scare you off. It is well worth the investment. I think that you're going to find the rewards are abundant once you get involved and find your team, get your squad rolling. And the Socks for Watch is just another one of the great templates that we can model off of out there. Sock and roll. At some point, you wonder that the creative teams must be exhausted, right? At the end of the year, they're like, I have no more ideas. We need a new think tank because it is a lot of marketing that goes along with this as well. That's for sure. So, all right, Nathan, I love seeing some new names along with so Socks for Watts. You were mentioning it earlier that they are now outfitting horses or unicorns, I guess, is what probably the name of the game with the popularity of unicorns here over the last decade has been quite amazing. So unicorns need jackets.
Yeah, in real life, there we had some cool images coming on through with some unicorn jackets. I'm loving their outfitting. I wonder. Now, I don't know if that's going to be an actual product. I mean, they're selling enough socks that they're expanding. That they're expanding into. I don't even know what that drape is called that goes over the top of a horse or a shore horse. I'm not actually sure. Maybe somebody who's into the horse, horse riding world can help us out here. I probably don't even have that name right for what that is. I think Martin's coming through with something. He always knows everything. It's called a rug. Thank you very much, Martin. Martin from WTRL is in the background listening to our silliness and letting us know how silly we actually are and saying, Nathan, it is a rug. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Martin, as we get a great view of the bridge because of that little rug distraction. But 30 years of action. So for those of you that don't know, Martin from WTRL has 30 years of having horses. So pretty awesome to hear there. So something that seems to be shared actually amongst a lot of the community in the Zwift world.
Yeah. I would say I could name a dozen riders that have a strong association with horses one way or another. It's not surprising. All right, so Nathan, this is going to be fun to watch here because through this first half of the course, an 8-rider squad should be able to stick together and keep doing work. When you look at sophistication with team time trialing, the super advanced teams. Let's go with the Socks for Watch WRT squad. You'll see them almost like this now, a little more closer to single file. This is the work being done. When you talk about development squads, well, team time trialing, wouldn't you say, Nathan, as far as learning, ability to communicate within a team, understanding your role, strengths and weaknesses, how to be helpful but not too helpful, right? There's a time when you can help by not helping too.
Yeah, there's a fine line, and that's where you have to have a shot caller. I've learned so much when it comes to the need, and it's really funny how this crosses over from esports, all sports, and even you have to have almost a military type mentality that there's marching orders and you follow them, and you have to have a good general, and it is a win or lose situation based on the knowledge, attentiveness, as well as the dynamic ability of that general to know what is happening on the field and knowing when to go and when not to.
You have to commit to the process of team time trialing. You can't do it your way and work within a team. It's the Chiefs and Indians thing, right? You need one chief. That's it. They call the shots. If you don't like the way this team operates, then find another team or go do your thing somewhere else. But I could not agree more with that, Nathan. That's part of team sports. is that you don't always get to do exactly what you want at the moment that you want to. You have to operate within the organism that is that team unit and what's best for the squad. And I mean, there's situations here where, Nathan, if you're not going to make it over the top of the Petit KOM, right? You're a rider here, you know that you're not going to be able to stick with the four best climbers on your team. You should be doing more work now, and that would be sacrificing yourself. And yeah, sure, it's not fun to get dropped by the team at the bottom of the climb, but you played a more integral role in getting a faster time for the squad if you take pressure off of those climbers in the first part of this course. So if you have 8 riders and you have one rider who's never going to make it over the climb anyways, then she should go ahead and take bigger, deeper, longer, harder pulls and try to keep the rest of the riders a little bit fresher. That's how this works.
Wanted to just jump on in here. Agree 100% there, and there is a reality that this is about the team, not about the individual result, or about how necessarily we all feel better about the accomplishment at the end. It's not about whether or not you stay on with the team. It's about what you sacrifice to get the result, really, at the end of the day. So,
Nathan, let me just add to that. And your result is the 4th rider on your team across the line. Whether you were the 1st, the 2nd, or the 8th rider, it's the 4th rider's time. That's your result because you're part of the team.
Jumping in with the lattes here real quickly, though, Dave, as we do see a 32:03 was the fastest time that came on through. We are looking at the Z-Sun team, and that is going to be Z-Sun. I'm going to jump in here and see if we can get a name on. There's a lot of different teams across here. Is this going to be Venus, or is this going to be I'm not exactly sure which Z-Sun we're looking at here. Probably one of the ones that started last, though. So they're going to be one of the faster teams out there. We'll have to wait and see. Oh yeah, you're probably right. It probably is Kronos. I mean, now we jump around here, but I definitely wanted to get a little bit of the other categories coming on through here, but we're gonna lose the images here, it looks like, at this moment. So we'll jump back in with the ladies as they're just getting out on course, and we're gonna start getting some splits coming in for them as soon as we possibly can. But as we get through the first little bit here, it's gonna be a while before we do start and get some splits. We can start taking a look at the riders nearby list to get an idea of where things are standing. We'll start getting some results from the men's Platinum League race as they come in as well. They should be updated pretty soon. And we'll probably go through those in just a moment before we head back on to before we head too deep into the reality of the race that's playing out in front of us here. The Unicorns chasing down their Soxterwatts co-patriots here, and that's going to be the Unicorns with says Parker. It's going to be S-Child as well, and they're doing a good job, as it looks like, as it's only a 24-second gap now up to their team members. Yeah, TFC here's on the chase. 1 minute gap, so they're keeping it steady. I do believe we've got the Choppers out on course. Is this going to be Gossage? Now, Gossage, is she guest riding here for Soxterwatts WRT, though? Perhaps that's what's happening. No, this is full Choppers. Excuse me. Nope. It was a riders nearby thing. I was like, that would be really interesting if that's what happened here. No, this is a full chop. Yeah, it would have been weird. But the rider nearby there needed to update there. That was my mistake. But it's going to be Massey here, Walton, Gossage, Lee, Crockford, all hammering here. This is that pro triathlete team that shows up. They were the queens of the castle for quite a long time, and now it's a battle at the top for that podium every single week. We'll see if they can get on to that top 3 spot this week, or maybe coming into the new year here with something extra and take a win.
Yeah, this is a team that no one who's been following the WTRL will be surprised to hear that they start getting top step of the podium again, as there's a tremendous amount of talent, history, the lineage with this squad, definitely top notch. And what you see is the classic ebb and the flow of the in real life racing and the triathlon season. Again, this team, Soxterwatts, is a pretty even mix of triathletes and road racers. If you look at their IRL specialty, this team more heavily triathlon based, and as this is their season that we're coming into right now, and especially with so many of these riders, almost all of them are out of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, and we're going to start bringing in some times here, I believe, or at least get an idea of who's what, where, how, and why on the course here. As we do see, this is going to be the Vienna Espresso here with Sock and Roll, Unicorns there, TFC Vixen are there, as well as the Choppers, and then it's going to be Sock WRT. So really, it's Vixen versus and the Choppers versus the rest of the Sock here in this category, it looks like. And then in the Vienna Frappe, it's going to be TFC Eclipse versus the Team WRFC. I'm not sure who WRFC is. I'll have to get an idea on who. I've never seen that Team WRFC. Maybe a newer team out on here or rebranding. We're probably going to see a lot of that coming into season 2 of the ZRL, I would think, Dave.
I would completely agree with that. I'm also wondering, I thought the Wonder Women were racing today, and that's another one of the perennial contenders for the top spot, but I don't see them. So, yeah, this is an interesting time of year, that's for sure, as you do see some major transfers happening. I mean, even Socks for Watts is victims of that, as they've seen a few of their former riders have moved on to Canyon Esports, actually, doing some heavy-duty recruiting out there. So we're going to stay here with the Choppers team. Again, if you are a young rider, and that's another cool thing that I heard was Nikki Cranmer talking about the 2024 team and a junior program. We're going to start seeing all junior team time trial squads, and I would bet dollars to donuts that Nikki is the first director that has a team like that organized and out there racing. I hope that that would be extremely cool. Here in the United States, we have a really solid movement. They call it NICA, the National Interscholastic Cycling Association. It's basically high school mountain bike racing. And I'm sure around the world there's different versions of that. But that's one of the beauties of racing on Zwift is no matter where in the world you are, you can find a team. So those under 18-year-old riders out there, I would not be too surprised if by the end of 2021 that we see a category that's exclusively for junior women, and junior men would deserve one then as well. So taking a look here, we're in now with Socks for Watts. This is the powerhouse squad. This is the team that has set the standard. We always joke that when they first really showed up on our radar back late spring, early summer last year, this team was a scrappy group. If you look at it, just an interesting mix of riders. It was really, I would say, COVID-based, that more than half of them were brand new to racing on Zwift, and this team immediately caught the tiger by the tail. They went from a scrappy group of women around the world to what became a juggernaut, and that's what we're looking at now as we're in with Coates here. But this team, I believe Leah Thorbalson is out here racing today, as we can take a rundown. Alice Lethbridge, who we were talking about earlier, Alice walks it like she talks it, as they say. She punches hard out there, but this is the team, Nathan, that there's no doubt they're the team to beat.
Yeah, they've absolutely been dominating this for many, many weeks here. It'll be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. What I did not look at coming into it, and I should have, is I'm wondering how things went in the climb. There's a little bit of a fun reality of what the last couple of TTTs have been as celebrations at the end of the year. The Bologna time trial course, as well as the climb to the top of the Alp. I did the Alp last week, and it was actually a lot more fun than I thought. There wasn't a whole lot of drafting going on necessarily. You could draft a little bit on the climb.
Pacing, right?
But the pacing together with the team members and kind of the camaraderie that came with that was enjoyable, actually, for me. Maybe it was enjoyable for me because I was able to be at more of a tempo pace, not to, I was like, oh, and everybody else was, the people who are not maybe as much a climbers were like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But, maybe some of the riders that week had a little bit easier of a ride and others a little bit harder ride trying to stay all together.
What is the name of the guy, Nathan, on your team that you're always, not you, but the joke? Is it Jamie?
Patrick,
yelling at?
Poor Patrick.
Right?
Poor Patrick.
Yeah. So
that's like an in-chat hashtag at this point. Go, Patrick. Come on, Patrick. Pull through.
I bet you when Patrick was done, he probably had a new FTP. At least.
Patrick killed it, actually. He had an amazing, me and him raced to the top at the end, and he's getting really, really strong. And Patrick doubles up actually on the day a lot of times. So
And that's a great example, Nathan. So Patrick is what it's all about. The guy that jumps in with riders who on paper are stronger than him, he knows he's going to get better. He's asking for a lot from himself rather than just mailing it in. You know what I'm saying? And riding with the team where it's always pretty easy for you and you just sort of do it. Patrick is dying 1,000 deaths on the Alp. You know, I mean, he's going through a lot, but when it's over, he's a better Patrick.
yeah, for
I
sure.
hope. I hope. Anyways, you have to put me in touch with Patrick. I'm interested in doing some analysis with him.
Looking through here,
So
Lethbridge, it looks like good as well as Despos. There's a couple of new additions actually to the team from what I'm hearing here, which is pretty cool to see. Rachel Elliott, Leah Thorvaldsen, Luis Hubach here, as well as Alice Lethbridge is on here, Jane Despos. And then it's going to be the new signings, Emmy Colling, as well as Nicole Colts. Who's in real life teammate actually of Alice Lethbridge. So good to see the additions here to this team. We'll see if it strengthens things. It's when things change up though on the teams, sometimes it can throw a wrench into it, and sometimes it's synergy. And you only find out once you start racing.
one of the nice things for Alice is that this is a teammate of hers on the road, so she'll have a good feel for the personality and whether because that's an absolutely awesome point, is even if a rider is really strong, they might not be the right rider for your team. It's a very fragile ecosystem when you look at how this all works psychologically with the riders. And the point you made at the beginning of the show, Nathan, about needing a captain or someone on the team that's in charge, there's a lot that goes into the organizing 8 riders, getting on Discord, all of the challenges that you have, and having a comprehensive, a collected, put together leader that keeps everyone calm before the start. That's priceless in this sport. So these ladies are going to have they're about 3K away from the Aqueduct, which is that first little pimple that you go over before you hit what I'd call the serious climb that brings you really the crux of the course there, the Petit KOM.
Yeah, this is going to be here. There's quite a ways to go here still in this race, and Sox Watts with a 14:26 total with 10.9. The real climb is going to be the switchbacks to the top of the Queen of the Mountain, that second one. But we do have the first Aqueduct, a little bit of a pinch point. The reality of it being almost a sprint over the top of that, I believe, is. It's an interesting section because it shouldn't put you into too much hurt if the riders are ready for it. But if you're not ready for it, there is a reality that you should be pressing full gas over the top of there and then coming over the backside almost in a sprint that had then gone into a super tug for a couple of riders. If you hit that correctly, it's a great section to gain some time. We'll see how these riders end up playing it out here. It looks like they're having an amazing ride. The synergy is pulling off here, it looks like, as Massey, 4.1 watts per kilogram on the front, as Sox Watts have almost caught them at this point. Now, as we move our way forward, though, I Race Like a Girl. This is a team that's been looking for a long time to challenge at the top spot. We did see a win from them a few weeks back, almost, I think, a little over a month at this point, but amazing ride from them. And we'll see if I Race Like a Girl can challenge again, as they have a solid 2 minutes, it looks like, at this point, over the top of Sox Watts. So they may be showing up this new season here with some more firepower as well as motivation on the day.
The heir apparent, no doubt. I would have to say, Nathan, if you look at the ecosystem here in 2021, these are the top challengers. When you look at Sisu, they're just starting to wet their beak now on the top of the podium. And the issue for them is you see Carly Johan, the Swiss rider here, super strong. They've got one of the best climbers in Zwift, that being Catherine Curie here, right out of Northern California. And this is the problem, is that Curie just needs to rein it in a little bit, keep the riders in your slipstream. You want to use the draft here. And I think, Nathan, if they had 8 at this level, it would be a different conversation for sure. The problem is it's 5 against 8 right now in a sport where numbers do matter. If the quality is there, the numbers do matter.
100%. And we'll see now. Catherine Curry, she does this. It's amazing. Every time we've seen her in these TTTs, she presses the pace. With this
And
team.
and some splits now, and that's the issue here is that the time off of the fourth rider, and you've got that fourth rider with her nose in the wind, not tucked in behind a teammate here. So that's not the most efficient way to do this. And this is the process that you go through to become the best team in the world. You can't have moments like this.
Yeah, Rowe's gonna have to get back on terms here. Curry now slowing out, and there is also the reality. And you think, well, what's the problem if you press on a little bit and then you have to slow down just a tad to bring a rider back? Well, that is momentum that is lost, and in this game, there is a huge reality of lost momentum. I actually would say that in Zwift, the loss of momentum is way more important than what you have than when you have in real life and the way that it works. You think because in real life you back off just a little and the momentum will stay pretty well.
Curie's going back to get their fourth and fifth rider. So the question becomes that loss of momentum. Is that more important to worry about than the fact that your fourth strongest rider is spending more and more and more time in the wind with no shelter?
Yeah, there's that reality as well. I mean, it's there. Any gaps whatsoever in the TTT, unless you're letting a rider go, are almost always going to be a major issue that are going to slow things way down. It is all about the precision of perfect unity, always pulling through, always keeping that speed as high as that target number on the front is always going to be the thing that you need to focus on. And as you do see Johan here, Kylie Johan on the front here, 50 kilometers per hour. I'm going to try and get a good idea of this and an exact example of either done well or where we see a slowdown that wasn't necessarily needed and really hurt the team speed overall here. 53 kilometers per hour. Now on the downhills, it's a little bit harder to see because this is the sections where you can recover and figure some things out. But a lot of times slowing down though on the downhill is not something you want to see.
No, definitely not. So this would be a good example, though. If the rider that was off the back was Catherine Curie, you don't slow down at all. She's so strong, she'll rejoin you. But if it's your fourth rider who is going to be the conversation around getting them to the line, it becomes just that balancing act out there. And that's what makes this such a special event when you look at the Team Time Trial, is there are some real challenges. It's just your perspective on those challenges and how you get the most out of the entire team. So the squad is back together now as they've made their way through the middle part of the course. For those of you that are just joining us, thanks again. This is week number 90 consecutive Thursdays of the WTRL, the World Tactical Racing League, as we're getting stuck in with the women now on Casse Pat, the French world of Zwift. It's just one circuit today, 23.9 kilometers. So you can see that this team here, perennial challengers, the Sisu I Race Like a Girl squad, has got it back together with 5 riders through the middle part of the course, and they're over the Aqueduct. That challenge is now behind them with the Petit KOM to look forward to. As again, 5 riders here on this squad. The splits are going to be interesting here because certainly the gold standard out here, Socks for Watts, the WRT edition of that team, has been incredibly hard to beat. The numbers are staggering. If you look at their win percentage, I have never seen a team in cycling that has won as often as they do. Now we're in with Evo here, riding it blob style. Not bad at all here.
Yeah, it looks like, it's this, now, interesting enough here, Bernard with the Evo in name here, but in and amongst a few other riders. So
this must be Socks for Watts. Right. This is
I'm actually seeing a lot of different names in here, so we'll have to figure out what's happening with these riders here. I believe that this is going to be a Socks for Watts team, mixing it up together here. We are moving blades backwards here. This is going to be TFC Vixen, looks like, with one rider dropped off that's going to be off the back now. There's a catch happening, actually, it looks like, and that's going to be Vixen rolling through that Socks for Watts team, actually. And so solid effort. They need to really quickly make this happen. It's just going to be a couple of sisters actually racing together. I'd like to see this here. two Trommers. I'm going to try and figure out what's happening here over at zwiftpower.com. You can take a look at all of the data that's currently available over on zwiftpower.com for all of these riders. And S Trommer, as we see, and C Trommer, both out of Germany, probably Zwifting right next to each other. I would be surprised if they weren't, with a solid ride here in the TFC Vixen team.
That's a good sign. I would love to see twins or triplets. So we talk about having riders of similar ability levels. Obviously, you want that ability level to be as high as imaginable, but having riders of similar ability levels allows a team to operate well. You don't want a couple mountain goats, a couple sprinters. It's not like building up a world tour road team where you want to be competitive in all the different environments. You want, well, and actually, to be fair, with world tour racing these days, riders have to have a very diverse skill set. There's no such thing as someone who's a pure sprinter anymore. The sprinters are still getting over some incredible climbs. And you could say the same thing out here with these teams, is that all of these riders have a wide range of abilities, but you really do want to look for a similar skill set and ability level to have a strong team time trial squad. And certainly sisters would be a good indicator. Coming from the same genetic pool.
Definitely. And as we look at these teams, as this team here, TFC, having a solid ride, 2029. They're battling right out, it looks like, with the Choppers. This is a very close race out, actually, here for the 5th through 2nd. But at the top, like usual, WRT walking away with this one again, almost a full minute at this point. They have just... They're just so strong, and the reality of how well they know how to do a TTT, it's pretty amazing to see the experience and the way that it plays out here each and every week from that WRT team. Can't speak to it enough.
It's going to be really interesting to see if it does stay similar to this. That battle for silver is going to be close, as it's only 3 seconds separating the Choppers and Vixen. But and then from the Choppers, it's 10 seconds that they need to get back on Sisu. So that's going to be fun to watch out there as we look for quite a battle here in the final few K.
Vixen now on that climb. We saw from restart how much that climb mattered. We saw that in the latter half of the race that this climb was the decider for who was on the win out there today. So we'll see what they can pull off, and they're going to be closing down, it looks like, sights set directly on the Aero Unicorns.
Losing a rider.
Plenty of riders here, though, it looks like still. Yeah, maybe... Oh, it's going to be difficult if they do start to lose riders. And Aero Unicorns, they got a lot of riders still in amongst that. This may be too much on the climb here. On the flats, going good. And if this team comes over the top with all of these riders intact, they're going to have so much speed coming into the finish line.
Yeah, that's a huge, huge advantage. 6 riders who are still useful at that point in the race, that might be the difference maker, to tell you the truth, as far as the ability that they're going to have to keep a higher speed as they are flying. We saw in the men's race speeds over 66 kilometers per hour, and that's going to be the name of the game here, getting up and over the top of the climb and carrying that momentum to the finish line. That is going to be it. Really, now talking about that race for silver here with Sisu, Choppers, and the Vixen, not that much farther back. It's a good ride today for the Aero Unicorns, the second of the Socks for Watts squads that we've got here today in the Vienna Espresso League.
As we take a look here at Sargent now, 189 beat sprinters. We take in the upper left-hand corner there, 217 watts. Get a good idea of how things are playing out amongst the riders as far as the effort that's being thrown down. Move our way here through, and it looks like to be LS now. S Child there, 181. All the riders really starting to max out these heart rates, as you can see. 180 here coming from Sheehan here. Go back into Clark, also one in the 80s. It's almost over here for this climb. Deborah Parker is here as well as Can. 2 more switchbacks, and then they are going to be seeing the Queen of the Mountain banner. They have kept the gap within 45 seconds. It really hasn't changed. I believe the Trommer sisters here, I believe it's going to be sisters. I'm going to have to double check that here, but they have kept it steady at the front and had to just kind of tempered, it looks like. I think they wanted to pull a 4.5 or so. They were watching what the Aero Unicorns were pulling, 5.2, 4.9, but they've got to temper it and allow the rest of the team to come through with them. They got to have at least 4 over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like it's just naturally coming back together. They're going to have five, it looks like, as they go up and over the top. And again, they're only a few hundred meters from that moment here. And there you go. Thank you, Andy. So Samil and Selma Traumer are sisters answering that one, Nathan. Good call.
Yeah, great job there by Andy Bev. Very long time rider there for the TFC team. Always good to see the Friday Criterium old school OGs coming into the chat. Andy Bev, great to see you, bud. As Traumer now continues on, this seems like a really watch out for these sisters, I think, here out of Germany. You know, this is a new name that's going to be on my radar now because they are hammering at the front here, leading this team over the climb. And when you see this kind of leadership here from newer riders that maybe haven't been on our radar throughout the, a lot of the Zwift racing broadcasts that we've done, watch out. You know, I have a feeling that we're going to have to, do some background research here and figure out what's going on because they, I think, are going to be a huge asset to the team TFC.
Yeah, Germany coming on strong. Fiona Schroeder coming back from a broken collarbone as well. So it's nice to see some new talent emerging. And that's one of the things that Zwift has been tremendous for is identifying riders with ability and motivation. And Drama Sisters go right to the top of that list. Super impressed by the ride that they're putting together out here today. All right, Nathan. Well, this is a nice moment because now you're on the downhill run to the finish line. It's less than 4K until this one is done and dusted out here. But now you really want to ramp it up as you want to put the accelerator down on the floorboard. 5 riders. You do have a little bit of an advantage there as a lot of teams will be racing with 4 at this point.
Yeah, and
how many will socks?
Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, Nathan, how many socks for Watts WRT riders? Do you think they have 6, 7 when they come over the top of the climb there?
Well, Socks and Roll here. They've got a full squad here still. It looks like we've got the Kessler situation here with Curry right on the wheel with 2 riders already, it looks like, up and over the top on the chase here. So they're closing things down. Looking back, where is Sox Watch WRT? Only going to be 23 seconds back at this point. Actually, no, 12 seconds, excuse me. So absolutely. Oh, excuse me. No, mistake there made by me. This is going to be the WRT. We have so many Sox Watch teams out on course actually here. This is going to be Collins Hubach leading it over the Heino rider that is also a part of the Sox Watts team here in the community racing, and Hubach 4.3 watts per kilogram. It looks like they are still pretty much together. Coates is here. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders I think that have made it. Did they drop anybody off? Claire Good not able to make the front group here at this point. I believe Pi as well not sticking with it. Despas off the back. So they have lost a few, but they've got a lot of strong riders that, and I think it was the right move with Lethbridge on the front now. They're going to come through with plenty of firepower, not waiting up too much.
Yeah, 5 at this point is okay. And again, with the advantage that they had no problem at all, is now they're, again, this advantage that they have allows them that luxury as 5 riders. That's even a bit of a buffer that they've got right now. So that's going to be Alice Lethbridge, the captain of the squad. Looks like they're going to be bringing home another gold medal here. Starting to get some splits in, though, and taking a look. Yeah, it's 6 seconds there. So the Choppers in second at this point. So they are just slotting in front of Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. So I think the Choppers' experience, Nathan, paying off right now. They know their way around a WTRL Team Time Trial, and they're showing us that.
Yeah, amazing job here coming in from the Choppers. They've had a solid ride, but WRT just a little bit too strong, but still a solid ride and able to hold on to that second place overall so far. Now, Sisu, I Race Like a Girl, they can still make this happen. We did see a little bit of disorganization there from Sisu, I Race Like a Girl for a little while, but maybe on the back end of this race, they're going to be able to pick it up and bring back some time from the Choppers. But that is a great ride, actually, from the Choppers. We haven't seen that kind of a result from them from quite a while. Second place overall. They're coming into the new year with a whole new strength, it looks like, here in the TTT.
Well, you can really feel the pressure coming from Sisu right now. They know they're in a hunt for a silver medal here. It's only a matter of seconds, and we're seeing some monster pulls here from Captain Curie at this point. It's going to be interesting. It's going to come down to a second or two either way here. As the nice thing now is with that climb behind them here, they can really just focus at the task at hand. Sisu, a really motivated team. Again, they've been knocking on the door to become really, they're in that short list of the best team time trial squads in the world. There's the time trial expert, Meredith Kessler, that we're looking at. I should say triathlete and time trial expert Kessler there. So they've got some horsepower here.
Yeah, pretty, really, really amazing ride coming on in here. As I definitely want to highlight something here, a little bit of a shout out actually, coming in from the. Let's see if we can find it out here. There's a new kit actually in game for the Socks for Watts team. We happen to just not have it on screen just a moment ago, but we'll see if we can jump on in. I believe Claire Good is sporting this new kit right now. We'll go ahead and jump on over and take. They have finished actually on the day, as we do see Catherine Curry and the rest of them coming on in. We'll get across the finish line here, and we want to highlight. We're going to have a lot of new kits coming into game. Actually, for those that are unfamiliar with the Zwift Racing League, and one of the rewards that the top end riders in the community side of the Zwift Racing League that they do get. Because of that competition, if they are able to be in the one of the qualifiers for the Premier League, they grab the an ability to have an in-game kit actually. So, and
That's
with this being it's a huge deal, and with how what a top team that this is, as they do take down another. It looks like Team Time Trial here. Socks Watts here bringing in the unicorns, of course. With the hashtag on the back here with the Arrow AF. I'm loving the design.
Well, they earned this. There is no doubt about it. This squad has good things coming, and this is certainly really, really nice to see. As Claire Good, a lawyer out of Wales, another one of the cool members of our community, and looking really good in that in-game kit. That's really nice to see. I know how much this means to riders. This is probably the number one question that you get, Nathan, when people know that you're associated with Zwift is, what would it take for me to get an in-game kit? Well, it's not an easy answer, but one thing you can point to that's definitive is get on a team and win in the ZRL, and you will be like the Socks for Watts squad.
100%. Yeah, and that's exactly what the answer is.
That's the only answer I have, actually, to tell you the truth.
Actually is, and that is it's a good answer. It's a good answer, that's for sure. Let's see if we can jump back in with a couple of the other riders, actually. We're going to stick with Claire Good here for just a moment. We'll start getting some results coming on in. Actually, let's go ahead and see if we got some results from the men's race here at this point. We're going to start jumping around a little bit. We are waiting for some of the results to come on in from ZwiftPower.com, but I believe we should have what happened in the Doppio. Is this going to be right? Oh my goodness, absolutely flying out here. Let's go ahead and bring us in division for just a minute, though, as we wait for some of the results, the update here. And as we do come through, I am hearing that Zwift Power is... it's having a tough time with the T, the same way that the TTT is having a tough time. That is a tough time. Zwift Power is struggling for power at the moment. It seems like just a little bit. So we're waiting for that to come around. The riders giving it its all, and Zwift Power is giving it its all as well right now.
Yeah, and there is no doubt that when you look at the numbers here, and as we come into 2020, there have been quite a few changes that have been made. So we'll be back up to speed shortly here. Great effort. It's so good to be back doing this as well. Taking a couple of weeks off of, I really missed this community. So good to see everybody back at it at their best racing here in 2021. And you can always go to WTRL.racing for more information online if you need it. That's a great place to go to learn the rules and regulations. And if you want to get out and learn more about the ZRL, which is coming up, season 2 coming up here. Everyone excited about that. Nathan, I saw Nicola Kramer talking about it today, getting pretty close to 40,000 people out there Zwifting as we're out racing today. The numbers are just absolutely incredible.
couple other things that are going on as well that I want to highlight is the Tour de Zwift is happening right now. Stage 1, 2, 3. Stage 1 currently this week. Every week going to be a new stage. And we've got some new things happening as well in the streaming community. Be on the watch out for that. That'll be starting in the third week. A little bit of experiments we'll be doing with ride leaders. So be on the watch out for that. So jump on in. I saw 16,000 people, I think it was, in one of the events. So crazy amounts of people jumping into that. I mean, that's unprecedented numbers I've never seen before. Fast and furious at the front, but it is a group ride for the Tour de Zwift. So having a lot of fun out there, and I'll be jumping in next week, as well as in week number 3. Be on the watch out for the Zwift Racing League as well. And then Tour de Boudica, which is a full women's tour racing happening. We're going to be having Anna Russell and Katie Bates on that starting tomorrow through Sunday. So if you want to check that out, make sure to hit the follow button, subscribe, do all those things, and turn on your notifications to catch all that action from Katie and Anna as they cover the women's tour. We do have the men's results. Let's go ahead and check out what's going on in the Doppio. As it looks like currently coming out of Zone 6, we've got some crazy fast times in Zone 6 here, Dave.
Wow. Yeah, look at this. On top of the table with a 30-24 for the win. No pins, R3RE Racing Team. Congratulations. Tip of the cap to you. The Evo Extra Turbo Snails will finish in second, taking the silver. 31 flat. That's only 35 seconds back. Pedal Power in third at 31.28. Look how close this was. As Cryo RDT, the Vultures in at fourth. The Plastic Cockneys taking fifth. Restart in at sixth. So those fast times all coming out of Zone 6 here. Fastest time today out of the Premier League Platinum League that we just witnessed is the Cryo RDT Vultures. Plastic Cockneys in the race we just watched would have been second. They're the fifth fastest time on the day, but the day is not over. Restart in sixth then. The sixth fastest time up to this point is the best way to put it. Just 1 second behind the Plastic Cockneys as we watch that battle play out today. It's the Red Giants from Z-Sun R with a 31.43 in its seventh. Vision in at eighth, and then INC, the Euro Aliens, rounding out our top 9. And you can see our top 6 Premier League teams all getting better out of Zone 6. Good on you, Zone 6.
Yeah, I want to speak to these results right here real quickly as well. In that Zone 6, I think new year, Zwift Racing League Season 2, the reality that there's some shuffling around going on, as well as some team managers, I think, really saying, hey, we got to take this next season really, really seriously. And the WTRL TTT is always a place where people are testing their mettle, looking forward to the next Tuesday a lot of time. And this is going to be really interesting to see what No Pins bring to the table, because they were one of those teams in the Premier Division that we were talking about a lot as being right on the cusp there. Pedal Power coming out of nowhere. But that is a name that has been around this community for a long time. So watch out for Pedal Power. I think with the reality of the launch of the Zwift Racing League, getting involved again and picking up this, I think this is going to be a rebranding even, and it's cool to see Pedal Power getting back involved. Very early on in the broadcast, they were a big part of what we were doing. So Pedal Power here hammering there into a third place, and a third place here in the Zwift Racing League, in the WTRL TTT, that in the Doppio, that puts you on the radar of the top, the cream of the crop when it comes to all of the racing out on Zwift, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're moving into a whole new era now. This is the second phase of that huge numbers that we saw as the COVID era started. Well, this is now going up and over the top of that. Absolutely mind-blowing as we take a look at the Espresso category now, and the Evo Warriors racing in Zone 2 with an impressive 31.17 today. Dirt Diggler just 2 seconds back. Unbelievable for the silver medal, 2 seconds behind. It's going to be LGPCIM in third. That'll be good for the bronze. It was everybody within 10 seconds on the podium. Rowan King Lions, they're in fourth. Los Torpedos fifth. Steamers Express in sixth for our Espressos. Gen X Action in seventh. Evo Espresso in eighth. WKG Torture in ninth. And then the Gulls from Cryogen rounding out our top 10. And it was stacked up like cordwood today for the Espressos. Everybody within 50 seconds of each other when it was done and dusted.
And then we've got the Frappes there. Evo Vortex 1:32.04. Solid time there with R&K Cubs. I'm liking that. The Cubs and the Lions. Great little play there by Rowan King. And then it's going to be Slovenian Zwifters there with the big strong guys in third place, 32.41. Innovation Alien Express there, 32.50. Tugas Rim. R&K Gazelles coming on through for a 32.56. 4 seconds back for sixth place from fifth. And it's going to be Slovenian Hazard there for seventh there. Eat Dirt in eighth, and then Dirt Time Chasers in ninth. Z-Sun Pulsars coming on through in 10th. 102 back, all very close within 1 minute for the top 10. And Premier League only with, or excuse me, Platinum League only with 1 in 7th there. So a lot of upgrades going to be coming into this Platinum League for next week, it looks like, as we come again. New year, new teams, swap arounds, maybe new qualifications as well. So great to see all of the change-ups that may be happening here. And on over to the Lattes.
Yeah, Nathan, it's a whole new era here in 2021 as we hit out with the first week of the WTRL in this year, and it's a 35.05 in the Latte class for Team NFT. That's good as gold. Devon 50 taking the silver medal. 8 seconds back. 11 seconds back is Kirkmeyer E-Cycling 1. That's good for the bronze today. Vikings Bolnir in fourth. Cryogen the Emus in fifth. CRGR TTT3 in sixth. Team ODZ Destroyers of Cookies in seventh. Cryogen the Magpies in eighth. Valhalla Jalhorn in ninth. And CZ Wolves. That's your top 10. Nathan, the trend today is these teams are becoming more and more competitive again in this category. It was 24K of racing with two legitimate testing segments out there, Petit and Aqueduct. And again, everybody within 1 minute here. Or you can see they're coming out of different zones. And as a matter of fact, there is not one Platinum League team right now in our top 10. Am I correct in that?
Yeah,
Looks
for
like
now.
it.
For now, I believe.
For now.
There's also the reality. We are getting some comments coming on through, and I'm, letting the narrative play at a new year. But there's also the reality that the last ride was the Alp ride, so perhaps people taking a week off and saying we're not racing up the Alp. Perhaps might have had something to do with it as well. GISC, as for those who are not familiar with qualification, it is last week. You have to have raced the last week in the WTRL TTT to get into the Platinum League. So a lot of times, teams that are doing well in other zones maybe didn't qualify the week before.
That's actually cracking the code on what is going on here. That's exactly a lot with the holidays and everything. There's all factored in. Makes tons of sense to me.
Looking through, though, it's going to be the Mochas, Dave, and it is at the top. GISC. Amazing ride here coming from now, this is an interesting. Who is GISCC? This is a whole new situation because Lost Ketchup, where the TBR, I mean, these are the riders that we're always looking for. Hurricanes, where's the Rhinos? Rhinos may be taking a week off.
Or took last week off. Exactly. This is how you make your mark. Show up and ride a 38.14 out of Zone 2 GISCC in the house as our Mocha champions. SCCYRT for silver, Los Ketchup for bronze. It's Team TFC Hurricane in fourth and Gulf in fifth for our Mochas today. Sixth right now, this is out of Premier League, just like Hurricane, is Adam Racing Team Fusion. TBR 008 in seventh, WMZ4 in eighth, OBVC in ninth, and Eater Trois in 10th. Nathan, one thing I always like to say for the racers on the results is that all they can do is show up and race, right? They can't control who else shows up or who races last week. So they did the best job they could. So I'll celebrate them today.
Waiting to see if we can get an update here. I have a feeling perhaps WRT are missing from the top here with 35.09. Wonder Women were there, it looks like, in the zone 6 without the qualification here. I'm going to give this a second here for some updates and see what's happened. As Andy Bev is letting us know in the comments here, I'm going to just bring this on through. And as we wait for these to update for the women, but he's letting us know the rhinos were too heavy for the Alp out there. So as we wait for an update here on the results coming on in for the WRT team, because I want to make sure we get this right, because we saw them cross the line in first here, I believe. So we might have to wait. We might have to actually just point to, I know everybody, there's a lot of screenshots that come through from the broadcast. I want to make sure that you can get those if we can, but I have a feeling that we may need to say head on over to WTRL.racing for the results on the women's side of things, as I have a feeling Zwift have a lot of riders, a lot of files, and Zwift Power, I think, is more overloaded than it ever has been in its entire life. Maybe some servers burning over in Seattle instead of the UK now at this point. So we'll wait and see. We've got there's a response is coming through. I see typing, so we'll see how things end up playing out here on that. Time trial tomorrow though on the Tour de Boudica. It's going to be the opening stage. They've got a lot of really great racing. Anna and the crew have been doing their homework a lot, it looks like. I think you guys are going to have an awesome production for that. And we'll see how this ends up playing out for Tour de Boudica. Here we go. Let's go ahead. It looks like we got an update here. Let's go ahead and bring this on in.
Great.
And I'm going to throw it to you there, Dave Ford. Sox Watts at the top.
Well, the Queens are back. Sox for Watts WRT with a 33-33. Good as gold out there. Congratulations again, ladies. Great to see your kit in game. Sisu, I raced like a girl. Well, Nathan, they did it. They fought through and end up with a silver medal.
That was close.
Yeah, that was close, and that was well earned out there as the Choppers gave them a real run for their money. These are the teams, folks. I can't wait for this 2021 WTRL season to see how this one all plays out. But as Nathan said, you can see so close, only 2 seconds separating Sisu and the Choppers. And the Vixen were not far behind. TFC Vixen in 4th today. That's all Premier League, and you can see that coming out of Zone 4, Las Rapidas. 5th fastest time on the day so far. Sox for Watts Aero Unicorns. They are the 6th, 7th going to Project Beast Mode. 7th is Project Beast Mode, and 8th is the Wonder Women of Ensured. So that's a new team name, but a squad that's been around for a while, but I don't think things went their way out there today. I think, Nathan, actually you're seeing a lot of teams that are testing new technologies and techniques out there as well. It doesn't always work out.
Project Beast Mode. I want to know
new team.
Who Project Beast Mode is. That is my new favorite at this point. Project Beast Mode.
It's a great name.
Loving that name. I'm gonna
Solid.
I'm searching for who this is now and who is on this team, because they came out of Zone 5, it looks like. We did not see them in the Platinum League, but they get into the qualification, so we'll have Beast Mode next week. Z-Sun Hypernova there at the top, though, in the Vienna Frappe is 35.55. Only 2 seconds back is going to be Sunrise Racing Team 2. And then it's going to be a pretty big gap here back to TFC Eclipse there with the 37.03. 37.53 for 4th place for Slovenia Taboo. And then it's going to be Vegan Bees at the 38 minutes there in 5th place. Kirchmer E-Cycling Ladies, they're 38.29 in 6th. WTRL Watts up there in 39.14 in 7th. BRT Dart Kittens, it held on for a top 10. Coming out of Zone 1 with that 40.41 that we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. Team WRFC 40.55 in 9th. And then WMZ Sapphires 46.10 in 10th place there. Vienna Latte.
Yeah, this is another noteworthy moment here as we move into 2021 is all of the different women's categories. This is awesome to see. And here we go with Vienna Latte and the Evo Comets at 38.25. Good for the win at Las Valientes. Silver medal. Pop Cycles in third. You can see the Vikings done in fourth. Wadi Inc. Flash fifth. Z-Sun R Pluto into sixth today. The GC Mad Jalapenos in seventh. Revo Duvels in eighth. Rounding out our top nine on the day, AHDR, the Australian Hump Day Ride, the Hot Toddies in ninth.
And then we are going to be into the Vienna, as we just go with that for the D's here. It's going to be the Slovenian Pink there, 39.58. PCC Panthers coming on through for the 41.35 for second. Vikings Embla 42.07 for third. Z-Sun Hydra 2 minutes and 14 seconds back from that top spot there in fourth place. See, I race like a girl. Is that going to be Atalanta? Or is it Atlanta?
Yes. No, you got it. Atalanta.
Yep. Atalanta. Okay, coming through for that fifth place there. Live by Cycling Gold in sixth, followed up by Rugby Triathlon Club there in seventh. HDR Bada Boom in eighth. Eichstun CC Women in ninth. And then it's going to be Vegan Fireflies. Lighten up the night in 10th place. That top 10 there, 44.43 with a 4.44 back in this. And then next week, everybody, I think hopefully we'll see. Do we got it? Oh, we do. Watopia, figure eight for number 91. This is a great course, actually. A couple of climbs in there. It'll be interesting to see. If you want to register it, it's next week by 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday of next week. If you enjoyed the TTT coverage, if you liked what you saw, and you want to jump on out there for the first time, head on over to WTRL.racing, register your team before next week, Wednesday, and get into number 91, Watopia Figure 8. Going to have to bring a little bit of climbing legs. It's definitely a very dynamic course next week, Dave, with that figure 8, both forward and backwards on the Watopia forward climb and King of the Mountain, and the reverse that we've seen used a lot in a lot of competition lately.
Yeah, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at you next week. I'm already looking forward to it. Number 90 done and dusted. Great job, everybody. Good to get the band back together, Nathan. Really, really fun to be out there and racing again. So looking forward to 91 coming up next week.
And as always, everybody, we've been live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Periscope/Twitter. Head on over to any of those to watch the replay of those. Hit the follow button, subscribe buttons, as well as turn your notifications if you want to know any time that we do go live. Tour de Boudica up next tomorrow. Opening up with a time trial there with Anna and Kate for the women's tour that's happening all weekend. Do not miss that action. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle. We're Zwift Community Live, and we'll see you next time. As always, great job to the riders and racers out there, and as always, ride on.